Where does government power end and religious freedom begin? One private company is in court to find out. This is the CitizenLink report. I'm Stuart Shepard along with our judicial analyst, Bruce Hausknecht. Hi, Bruce.
Hi, Stuart.
This is a story about Hercules versus Obamacare. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I have some good news to report. It doesn't seem like I get to report enough good news, but Hercules Incorporated is a heating, ventilating, and air conditioning company up in Denver. Family-owned, 265 employees. They do a lot of work. But this HVAC company has become a leading figure in the fight over religious liberty and Obamacare. Interestingly enough, because of the new regs proposed under Obamacare, Hercules was going to have to issue an employee health plan that provided for contraceptive coverage, including possible abortion-inducing drugs.
Right.
They are a Catholic family, the owners are, and they have a religious objection to that, and they haven't offered such things to their employees in the past, don't want to do it now. And they don't fall under any of the religious exemptions currently available under Obamacare.
Because they make heating and air conditioning equipment. They're not a Christian college,
That's
they're
right.
not a church, they're not a Bible bookstore, they're just a company making stuff.
That's exactly right. And they have a belief that they want to run their business according to their faith principles.
And this is not a new thing for them. I was reading through on their website their mission statement. They talk about the usual providing quality service and all the usual things you'd expect, but they also have this line: we will nurture, and this is the mission statement for a company that makes heating and air conditioning supplies. We will nurture and maintain the culture of a family-owned business in which our employees grow financially, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. So this is not something new for them. This is the nature of the company from the get-go.
Right. However, the way Obamacare is written and the way the Health and Human Services contraceptive mandate is written, you would think that once you enter into commerce, you give up all of your religious rights. And that's what this case is about. That family and that business went to federal court and said, look, we think our religious rights are being violated here. We do not want to provide this. And on Friday, a federal judge in Denver agreed with them, at least temporarily.
At least while the case is being heard.
Because that rule was going to go into effect on August 1st, and they were going to have to start complying with that mandate to provide all that contraceptive.
For those of us who aren't attorneys, describe for us what that means that the judge has said, in the meantime, you don't have to follow this. How does that play out?
Right. This lawsuit will go forward, but when such a critical time period or deadline is coming up and things are going to have to change and rights are going to be violated, then a judge will issue what they call an injunction, which is basically an order saying, we're going to keep the status quo in place now. Government, you cannot enforce your rule until we get to the trial on this thing and we resolve these difficult issues. And this judge recognized that there are difficult issues that have never been decided before, such as, does a corporation have the right to exercise a freedom of religion?
Right.
Or does it only go to the individual owners? And he said, look, this kind of decision has never been made before, so we're going to have to take a look at it. These are serious issues. But, he said, if it's shown that these owners and this company do have religious rights, then the government's case is going to fail under the Religious Freedom and Restoration Act, which is a 1993 statute at the federal level that prevents the government from imposing a substantial burden on your and my free exercise of religion.
Now, sometimes I get the impression that when these orders are issued, it's not a ruling yet, not a decision, but when this preliminary injunction, as it's called, comes out, that the judge will give an indication whether he or she thinks the merits of the case as raised by the company are good. Any indication in this that the judge may be agreeing with the company?
Yes. If he left the first question open, which is, does a secular company have a right to exercise religion? Does the First Amendment apply to a corporation? And he said, we're going to have to decide that. I can't decide it here. But if I decide in favor of the company, then government's going to lose in all likelihood. That kind of indication means that this is a great victory initially. This is what I would liken this to a ball game where the leadoff batter hits it out of the park. Is it amazing? Yes. Does it put you ahead of the game? Yes, but is the game over? No. We've got 9 innings to play, and this is just the first inning.
All right. Well, we'll be following that as it goes along, I'm sure, and looking for your insights. Meanwhile, another private company is being threatened by government officials. We talked about this last week. Chick-fil-A, the president, Dan Cathy, came out with a strong statement in support of marriages between one man and one woman. It's a Christian-owned company. Christian family has run Chick-fil-A since the very beginning. And he came out and made a statement which sounded more like what you might hear from a pulpit than you would from a boardroom. It's not the kind of thing you'd expect a CEO to say. It was very strong and something, I dare say, that most Americans would agree with. And in every state where people have gotten to vote on the definition of marriage, whether it should be between a man and a woman, in all 30 plus states where it's been voted on, the American people have said, yes, we think that's what the definition is. Well, that's not enough for some people. The mayors of 4 major cities have said various statements, but they basically said, we don't want Chick-fil-A in our town. Either we don't want them to expand into our town, we won't let them open any more restaurants in our town. And there's been a little hemming and hawing because there's a bit of an issue here. It's the mayors of Chicago, Boston, D.C., San Francisco, essentially threatening a private company because its president expressed an opinion. They've done nothing illegal. They've done nothing wrong. I don't think there are any charges of discrimination against people who walk through the door at these restaurants around the country. There is a legal problem there and also a constitutional one.
Right. If these are just elected officials voicing their opinion, then it's simply, I would put that in the category of an abuse of power, something they should stay away from. However, if these mayors, these elected officials, intend to use the force of government to deny Chick-fil-A a license to operate, whether it's a building permit or a zoning permit or what have you, then they have basically violated the constitutional rights of that company, and it's illegal. And I think even though we heard from these mayors almost immediately, like the next day, they were qualifying the statements they'd made as if someone had gotten to them and so said,
perhaps an attorney.
Perhaps an attorney had advised them that what you're saying is not really legal, and so walk it back. And they all did in most of those cases.
My favorite part of this whole thing, the ACLU of Illinois, remember one of the cities is Chicago, the mayor is Rahm Emanuel. The ACLU of Illinois came out and said, as an organization, we support same-sex marriage, so they're in agreement with the mayor on that issue. However, it's not proper for a mayor to come out and make this kind of statement, because once you set that, then any city could ban any company for practically any reason.
Yeah, and they've got it exactly right this time. ACLU usually misses the mark, but on free speech, generally they're right on, and they've got it right this time.
I love it when we get to agree with them. It kind of proves the point, if you will, a little more strongly than usual. We do want to encourage you, if you'd like to speak out on this. Of course, Governor Mike Huckabee has declared Wednesday, August 1st as Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day. It's not a company-sponsored event. It's something Mike Huckabee came up with. A lot of people are planning on, as we record this, planning on taking part in that just by going and getting something to eat there at the restaurant. But there's something else you can do. We have a petition drive going on CitizenLink.com. If you go to the homepage, look up at the top, there's a banner that says sign the Chick-fil-A petition. And basically you can send a message to the president, Dan Cathy, and the other family members who run that. And our Tom Minery is going to personally hand deliver those to the family after we collect them. So again, if you'd like to sign our petition, we encourage you to do that. It's at the top of CitizenLink.com. Bruce, thank you for your insight. You always help me understand this stuff.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching. We always appreciate hearing from you. We've been getting a lot of your notes lately, and some affirming the way that we try to give an even-handed approach from a Christian perspective on the stories we cover. One that pointed out that Chick-fil-A puts MSG in its food, and she did not like that and wanted people to know that. So there, I've shared that with you. If that's a concern of yours, you might want to look that up on their ingredients list when you get there. But we do read every note that comes in and appreciate your comments, your criticisms, your questions. You may always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. Remember to pray for the heads of these companies as they try to navigate the balance between government and religious freedom and freedom of speech, and as they try to make wise decisions for their country and for their faith, but also for their company. And remember, stand tall and be heard.